In today's video, we're taking a look at the skateboard, the Cage2 feature that everybody knows and acknowledges, but nobody seems to talk about. The skateboarding mechanic is pretty simple. You can jump, that's good, great start Cage2, well done. Then there's one ground trick and 3 mid-air tricks, plus you can rail grind, with a couple of extra tricks while grinding. And that's as far as it goes, although I doubt anyone would ask for more. Mechanically, this all works well enough, and the movement is reasonably smooth. You can feel the directional axes, it's not exactly 360-degree movement, but it controls fine. So in a technical sense, this all does the job competently. But what's the content? What do you actually do while riding this thing? Well, there's two uses for the skateboard. The first is to quickly move from one side of an empty room to the other, and the second is minigames, yes. So let's start off in Twilight Town, the home of skateboarding in the Kingdom Hearts universe, or it was until Scrooge came and gentrified it. This activity is part of the world's charm, its aesthetic, so much so that the skateboard is everywhere, following you like a bad omen. Although really it's a good omen because Roxas, being a tutorial character, has no fast movement options except for his skateboard. And his board is certainly styled after him, white and black and edgy all over. It appears throughout the town, although not as Sunset Terrace. Now, there are two skateboard minigames here. The first is mail delivery, which isn't counted as an SB entry in the journal because it's actually one of the summer jobs. Really, this is just a tutorial to the mechanic. Deliver mail by sliding downhill, grinding once, and if you're desperate for that watermelon, it's definitely the quickest way to farm money. The proper minigame entry for this world is SB Street Rave. SB, of course, an abbreviation of Sadistic Bastard. Well, not really, but there are a couple of nasty snags, you'll see those soon. Talk to this person in Station Heights to start the minigame. To complete the journal entry you need 1000 points in total, but of course you can go for more if you want. You're given 5 tries to accumulate the points. Each try starts when you jump and ends when you hit the ground or a wall. It's very easy to accidentally clip on things, so be wary of that. Oh, and an extra stipulation is that you can't re-grind onto a rail that you just came off. It'll count as the end of that try. No sneaky tactics here. Oh, and hitting a wall at the end of a rail, that's an ended try too. So navigating this area without wasting tries can be a bit of a bugger, and it's probably my least favourite minigame of the lot. But hey, look at that appropriate font. But Twilight Town was just the beginning. No world is safe from the wrath of a rebellious hobby. Well, actually that's a lie, because the skateboard is not present in a few worlds, those being the Land of Dragons, Beast's Castle, the World That Never Was, and for very obvious reasons, Pride Lands and Atlantica. There's no Merman Tony Hawk song. I think before we investigate the presence of the skateboard in the rest of the game, we ought to look at the designs first. And yes, that means it's time to stick PNGs on a grey background and talk about them. Oh, you thought I was done with this format? Well, so did I. These are a lot simpler than Keyblades though, they're all variants of 2 general designs. You have Roxas's skateboard, of course, and now I see it closer up, that's more of a blue than a black. But closest to that is Sora's Halloween Town board, which is the exact same design but with a rough grey coloration. Then Agrabah, which is almost the same but missing the skull parts. And then Timeless River, and this one is a stripped back version owing to that Boomer World style. Alongside this is Sora's default skateboard, which he uses in Twilight Town, Hollow Bastion and Disney Castle. This trades the vague nobody symbols and pointy shapes for a sleek set of lines, and the coloration is white on blue. The Olympus Underworld board has a stony appearance, Port Royal's is wooden with nails around the edges, which I think is quite a cool detail. And finally, Space Anxiety, which has an appropriately techno blue board. It even glows a little bit. So that's the designs covered. Now, where can we find these extra skateboards? Well, unlike Twilight Town, the other worlds limit them to very specific rooms. You've got corridors and the restoration site for Hollow Bastion, the canyon in Space Paranoids, the Hall of the Cornerstone in Disney Castle. This one is just a big empty flat room. The most fun thing to do here is get Donald and Goofy stuck. Also in the audience chamber and the courtyard, the latter being reasonable enough since there's some hedges to jump on.
A little late for trimming the verge, don't you think?
In Timeless River, it's also in 3 rooms for some unfathomable reason: Cornerstone Hill, the Wharf and the Pier. In Olympus we have the Caves of the Dead passage and the Valley of the Dead. In the passage I was having a lot of fun bullying a crescendo, but this tornado step stepped in. You can't skateboard freely anywhere in Port Royal, it's only for the minigame. I guess alcoholism and gambling are problems enough, they can't have youths rolling around the place. In Agrabah, you can skate in Agrabah. Yeah, just this room, and it's clearly built with the skateboard in mind. We'll get to the minigame in a bit. Finally, Halloween Town has 4 whole rooms to play around in. The Hinterlands, Graveyard, Town Square, which is a fun one because you can bait the traps and get your friends killed, and the Toy Factory Shipping and Receiving, which sounds like many Cage fans' 2 favourite activities, shipping and... yeah. As you've probably noticed, many of the rooms that provide a skateboard are long or windy, so it's there to ease your passage when you don't have Glide. In fact, it's better than Glide when going uphill like in the Valley of the Dead. Oh, and yeah, you can attack enemies with the skateboard. It's entirely useless, of course, you're annoying the Heartless more than anything, but it's there. You're not even invulnerable during it. Even these bees are barely scratched. Oh, and I do want to take this opportunity to show some lovely spammy hit effects. Of course, moving quickly through a Cage 2 corridor is all well and good, but we want some more content, damn it. So let's take a look at the rest of the minigames. SB Freestyle is in Hollow Bastion, available from Scrooge McCapitalism, and you need 200 points in 1 attempt for the journal. Now, the minigame doesn't just end after 1 attempt, it means you need at least 200 points in 1 sequence, 1 jump, so keep trying until you hit that target. 200 points is nothing really, so no trouble here. Next we have SB Sand Slider, and the question is, do you actually slide on sand? Well, no, you skateboard on Agrabah streets and rooftops. This is false advertising. Oh, that explains it. This one is a little different in that you need to collect these floating crystals, with each only appearing after you collect the previous one. The goal is to grab as many as possible in 30 seconds, but the mission requirement that anyone cares about is 10 crystals. That's how many you need for the journal, and that's very easy. But I wanted to at least complete a full cycle, which requires learning the routes, and the crystals are placed in such a way that well-timed grinds are recommended. 38 crystals was enough for me, so I moved on to Port Royal. Here you get to ride the sliding plank, as Lingering William calls it. SB Time Attack is the name of the game, and it's crystals again, but this time, instead of getting as many as possible in 30 seconds, it's a limit of 23 crystals that you collect as fast as you can. And for journal completion, well, you just have to collect all 23 in 40 seconds or less. Easy stuff. This minigame was probably my favourite one, so I replayed it a few times and left it at 1678. Finally, we have Workshop Rave, which is back to a points-based trial, but with a 30-second time limit. Talk to Locke at the Yuletide Hill for this one. The requirement is 1000 points within the time limit, and there's no try system at all. Just do as much as you can in 30 seconds, shouldn't be an issue. This minigame is great because it lets you cheat the Pro Skater trophy, which is to accumulate 5000 points in one of the games. This little exploit has you use method grab repeatedly on the present shoot, and it skyrockets the counter. There's still a bit of concentrating to do here, it's a slippery slope, so constant little adjustments need to be made, and you're against the clock, so don't stop. But you bet I'd rather do this than legitimately get those 5000 points. And that about does it for this strange little part of Cage 2. It isn't all that much, I mean you can play the whole game without ever setting foot on a board, but I appreciate it for adding a little more content over a combat focused experience. It's not bad at all, certainly it's not going to get most people hyped, but it's just a neat little Cage 2 thing. I mean, this is the game where you fight Sephiroth, jump out of a storybook with Pooh, and sing about Finny Fun all in one package. Pulling off sick tricks on a skateboard isn't too far-fetched. And hey, I made a video about it, and now you can comment on it, so what are your thoughts on Cage 2 Skateboard? Do you even have any? Are you a secret Cage 2 Skateboard stanny who's been waiting to come out for years now? And what random weird feature will Nova talk about next? You'll have to wait for another video for that, but for now, thanks for watching.